Good morning. It's Johnny Sunshine. For you guys who, forget who I am. The guy with the big fucking head and the foul language. Guys, I'm sitting here in my baseball hat. That repipe we did on Monday and Tuesday up in that attic. The heat was bad, but Johnny banged his fucking head 100 times. Man, I had lumps all over my head. And I said something about that in the video, and the guy said, you need to get a bump hat. And I was like, what the fuck's a bump hat? And so I looked it up, and sure enough, man, Amazon had them. This is a bump hat. It's a hard hat, Jackson. A baseball hat, hard hat. And don't look too bad, man. I mean, it doesn't look goofy like a... And I've got it tight enough where it'll stay on my head up in the attic. And it's vented. It should be fine. My body, and most of us are probably like this, we keep our bodies cool through our heads, you know. And Johnny got a big head, and yeah, that's where I get a lot of my cooling from. So I like the bump hat. Hopefully it's going to work up in an attic. A nail, you catch nails in your fucking head, banging your head on shit, and even just repiping houses, working around cabinets, over stuff, you bang your head on them. I mean, some of these places just have so much shit, you need a little protection, man. It's not OSHA rated for falling objects, but it's a bump hat, man. Get you one, Jackson. So anyways, I want to talk a little bit about this repipe we did yesterday. It's a challenge when you repipe a condominium, a 2-story condominium with the same unit up above, and basically everything in that house is crammed into the soffits or underground. And so my plan, everything worked great according to that isometric that I drew up. There were no surprises there. But when we got to those tubs, the way we did the tubs is my plan was to come down on, drops on one tub. And then we snaked CPVC behind both tubs because they were back to back, basically. The valves were on the outside of the wall, and the tubs were butted together against the partition, and that was all dead space. So we snaked a hot and a cold, and I actually put about a 10 or 11 inch piece in each one with a 90 on it, and pushed that through. And then when we got to the other side, I was able to just roll it down so that you weren't gluing joints way in the back. That would have been a good opportunity to use PEX, especially if you're using, those electrician glow sticks. You could send them through, attach your PEX, because PEX is, it's bent. It curls. It's hard to push it down walls, and so you got to actually pull it more than push it. But anyways, we ran into a snag on that tub, and we were able to go to plan B on that and run PEX around the outside of the building, right around the corner, basically from where I came up in the closet with the hot and cold to feed the kitchen. We were able to tie on to that, just pop out a hot and a cold, and then I use Shock Bite 90s, and some of you guys are going to give me a bunch of hell about Shock Bites, but the motherfuckers didn't leak, and I like them because they're not insert fittings. You still get the same flow through your pipe. They're making their seal on the outside of the pipe. Just make sure on the PEX that you leave that sleeve in. And that's what we did. I had CPVC coming out of the house, pulled the sleeve out of the 90 that was going on the side that was going on the CPVC, left the sleeve in the on the side that was going onto the PEX, and we just looped it out, man. We dug a ditch, we looped it out. And one thing that we have to do is, when I was repiping a lot of houses, I talked to you guys a little bit about those toolboxes and who made them for me. That it was Kenny Johnson was the name of the company, and they've been bought out by this Dowdney sheet metal company. They have 3 locations here in Florida, and they really do some high-end shit, man. Like copper vents, hoods on stoves, and just really, it's artistic and it's top notch. It's Dowdney sheet metal, and I did a video one day. I had them make me up something, and I think it was pool drain, deco drains for my house out of stainless steel. And they bent them up for me, and it was reasonably priced. But so I've used them. It used to be Kenny Johnson, now it's Dowdney sheet metal. But what I had from back in the day was I had channels made up, because there are some times on repipes where you got to run that pipe down the outside of a building. And what I had made up is these little channels, flanged channels. They're very low profile, basically like a line set channel for air conditioning, but a lower profile. It's only about 2 inches depth, and I have them. They're like 6 inches wide by 2, and with a 1-inch flange on each side. And if you got a hot and a cold coming down, you use the bigger one. If you have just a hose bib, I've got a smaller one made up just for one line. It's big enough to cover the straps, and they work great. So one of the things with PEX, you guys already know, the sunlight and PEX don't get along very well. So the only thing we have to do on that repipe, and I'm going to go back on Monday, and I've got those channels. I just checked; they're out there on my pipe rack. I'm going to cut them up and spray paint them, kind of match the color of the house, and then just anchor them to the house. I did buy one of those 22 caliber shot nail guns. Nails. You can shoot into concrete, and that's what we used to do, just because we didn't want to waste the time of. But it'll be easier. These things, they're only going to be like 2 feet long on this particular repipe. They're not going up, so I have to make some caps for them, and then just caulk that top edge. But we sealed where the pipes went through the wall, so it's really just precautionary. And what I used to do, because they those channels and AC line set channels become a rat race, and you got to fill them things with foam. And what I did was, after even on my air conditioning, when they did that, when they changed the line set, I went out there and I came up about a foot on the channel. I drilled a hole, and I took a can of spray foam, and I just filled that fucker up, probably 18 inches full of foam. So if the rats or mice want to climb up that and get into my attic, they're gonna have to do a lot of work first, Jackson. So anyways, the job was a success. I piped, the pipes were correct coming into the water heater location. I had the hot on the left and the cold on the right, and I had just fought through putting this whole manifold together up in the overhead. And I'm just gonna tell you, man, there was 10 pounds of shit in a 5-pound box. Duct work, wires, every wire in the house was right there, man. So it was a challenge, but we got it together. And the only problem is that I unfortunately hooked up the hot the hot discharge from the heater, I hooked it up to the cold side. So it was backwards. And it took a little while for us to figure that out because we thought the water heater was on, and come to find out the breakers were not marked correctly, so that we only had ambient temperature water. There was no difference between the water heater, the hot water, and the cold water, so we really couldn't tell. But nothing was crossed, just what I did at that water heater. So the job was a success. We rolled out of there at 6 o'clock. I got there at 8. So a 10-hour day, 2 guys, and we repiped that place in a day. It looks nice. When you have a block building, Tony Plumbob said that shit would never pass inspection down here in South Florida. Well, tell me how you do it, my friend. Cut the whole fucking house apart? I don't think so. If that's what you want to do it. But they have one drywall repair. One fucking drywall repair. And I'm going to put one of those channels. I'm going to put it on those pipes behind the kitchen sink. I mean, behind the refrigerator, to protect them if somebody's pushing the refrigerator in. I just want to cover them up with something thin. Maybe just a piece of sheet metal and a couple furring strips, to get over the top of them. You're not going to see them. And all the pipes that were exposed, as soon as the closet doors go back up, you're not going to see them. It'd be nice if I could buy some plastic channels. If somebody knows of any, that I could just screw over those pipes. You can cover everything. It takes 5 minutes to put them up. But sometimes, guys, there's no other way besides cutting the whole place out apart to get them pipes in the fucking walls, especially with drop ceilings. So I feel really good about what we did. There really were that one tub was the only surprise, and it was a little surprise at how much shit was packed in a space that was literally this fucking wide between the framing and the ductwork. And I had to get 2 3/4-inch lines across there and tie everything together and make sure it had no leaks. So it was a success. We made good money on that job. Sean, it was his job. He made more than me. But I made more than him on that other repipe. So it's all good. That's how we're working it out. I will tell you that the guy that we worked for, he's a mitigation guy, and he's shady as fuck, man. He's just a shady motherfucker. I don't trust them guys. He seems like a crook, and he let it be known that if he gets us a repipe, he's looking for a handout. And I was like, I don't do that, man. I just don't do that. I don't expect you to fucking do it to me. And don't expect it from me, is all I'm saying. So the guy who came there, the pecs would have looked like shit in that house. And like I said, they're insert fittings, so they take away from the inside diameter of that pipe and cut down on the flow. I mean, a tub and shower valve is a perfect example of how it restricts the flow. You cannot use on a tub stub out, on a tub and shower valve, you can't use PEX because if you turn the tub on with a PEX drop with insert fittings, you're going to get water dripping out of the shower at the same time. So when you use that, you always have to put copper down. It's just good practice anyways, but people have done it with PEX, and they use some kind of drop air L for the stub out. I don't know. And the other problem with PEX is where I manifolded all that shit together. If I had to use PEX fittings and pay attention to what they trained me for with Uponor, the shortest piece you can have is 3 inches, man. You're not supposed to be, you know, making butt pieces and expanding both of them on a fucking piece this big. They say it's got to be at least 3 inches. So, somebody will probably challenge me on that statement, but it is what it is. I'm excited. I got my spray paint. I'm taking today off. I told Sean, it's Sunday. I told Sean, I said, I'm gonna go over there, and the PEX just looks like shit, man, on the outside of the building. So these channels, they're gonna accomplish 2 things. They're gonna hide that ugly ass PEX, and they're also gonna protect it from the elements, basically. Ultraviolet rays, mainly. But we got her done, man. We got her done. We were in a good mood. Sean, he actually called me up, I think the night before last, and he said, hey, man, I want to talk to you, because at the end of that job, that first repipe, I talked to him, and I said, hey, man, you know, he was in his truck ready to leave, and I said, hey, man, you know, you need to work on your attitude. And he was like, what? Where the fuck that come from? And I was like, yeah. He's like, what do you mean, man? You know, he got kind of defensive. And what I mean by that is you got to be cognizant that you're in somebody's house and they're listening to everything you're saying. And I think I talked a little bit about that on one of the videos, and he caught it. But he called me up and he said, hey, man, you know, I'm going to work on that. He says, and that's the relationship I have with Sean. I can be honest with him. If I'm thinking something, I'm going to tell him that, you know, and it's going to help me, and it's going to help him, man. I consider myself with Sean to be a coach for him, you know what I mean? Not that I'm, you know, smarter or anything. Sean's a smart kid, and a lot of times he comes up with solutions to problems that I'm on a different track. And like yesterday with that shark bite that was leaking, he was like, man, I'll just solder a piece of L on that, put a coupling on the water service. We had a shark bite that kept leaking, and it was because they used fucking M copper tight wads, you know, just buying the cheapest shit they can buy. So he's like, let me just solder you know, I was thinking, oh, we got to pull this copper out of the valve and put a new piece in. And he said, let's just solder put a coupling on there and put a piece of L copper on top of it, and we'll throw it back together. And we did that, and it worked fine. So Sean comes up with some great ideas, and I will tell you that yesterday, that repipe, even though the house was empty, Sean had a fucking way better attitude. You know what I mean? It's tough. It tests your fucking patience doing a repipe. You find, you know, when that tub deal happened, when we realized we were fucked on that tub, you know, basically you're standing at the bottom of a mountain and you're like, okay, we can't go up and over this motherfucker. What are we going to do now? So you find another way, man. And we did it. We got her done. Sean he got everything together for that job and then some. We were prepared. We had everything we needed. And the way we did it, Sean falling behind me, putting supply tubes on. He plumbed the 2 bathrooms and the cabinets. He did the tubs. You know, it just worked out great, man. It's nice to have somebody who's qualified. And but it takes time, man. I mean, I just, you know, at 60 years old, I'm not as fast as I used to be. But one thing I was thinking about building, which would work really good, because you end up with tools strewn all over the fucking place. I'm going to make a little cart on wheels, a little shaped like this. Where the fuck is it? Where is it? Johnny's always drawing something, man. Look at this. Got a little thank you card from one of my customers. Remember that 90-year-old lady? I went and fixed her. She had the waist arms that 2 other plumbers wouldn't fit. They couldn't figure out what was going on. She sent me a nice little letter here, a card, and yeah. Anyways, I don't know. This might not be the card. That's somebody else that I sent crosses to. But I'm gonna make myself a little cot that's only about, you know, maybe 18 inches high, because you spend a lot of your time on the fucking ground. It's gonna, on the top shelf, which is only gonna be about 12 inches wide, I'm gonna be able to put my fitting tray. And then on the bottom, it's gonna be about maybe 16 inches wide. And it's gonna have to be at least 22 inches wide. I'm going to make that shelf on the very bottom a place for me to throw my tools, you know, my fucking drills, my sawzall, everything I need, my oscillating tool, which I'm getting used to working with that, and they really work great, man. So that's what I'm going to build someday out here in my wood shop. And it'll be a nice addition, something lightweight that I only use on repipes. I'm not going to keep it on my truck. But it'll have everything on there. I can just roll that thing through the fucking house. I'll put a little strap on it and just walk it like a motherfucking doggy right through the house, Jackson. And organization is the key, man. And unfortunately, you got so much going on in these repipes that shit just gets everywhere, man. You gotta really pay attention. And so I'm looking forward to it, man. I think in the wintertime that Johnny and Sean, if we got a helper, that would be even better. You know, throw a kid fucking $25 an hour or something. A couple $100 for the day just to keep things clean. Go for this and go for that. But I'm happy, man. I'm happy. We made some good money on them. It took us basically 2.5 days, and I would say that I would have had to do 70 or 80 fucking service calls to make that kind of money. So, you know what I'm saying, y'all? Yeah. But it takes skill, man. It really does take skill. You have to have, I think, a background in new construction, understanding how things are built. One of the snags that we ran into was we cut an access in the side wall in the master bath, and we went to run the pipes down that wall, and we went from the bottom up because there was no fire blocking anywhere, which is great. If that was a new house, it'd be fire blocking everywhere, which would make it. But I've got electrician bits that can go down 5 feet and extensions and all that shit. I've got the glow sticks. But anyways, we went to put these pipes in, and the framers, just out of habit, they put a couple of 2x4s in for a medicine cabinet. And so we couldn't go up. I had to bounce over one stud, so the pipes were coming out really in the corner of that cabinet, which made the access we cut in the cabinet a little bit bigger. We had to use 2 plates because I was out of 18-inch access panels. And I will tell you, man, them access panels that I make are a big money saver, man. They're easy to work with, easy to cut, to you know, like I had to cut a couple angles around the air conditioning at that water heater to get my access panel. It's textured. It kind of looks like the texture on the ceilings, and it's, you know, it is what it is. If they don't like it, patch the fucking drywall. That's all. I'm not doing that, you know. So all in all, it was a success. When we go back there, because the place is empty, we'll get the camera work on that job was just fucking terrible. It's that job, I did it in the same mode that I'm doing this segment. Unfortunately, I thought I was looking at at what was happening. You know, my camera seemed to be off of everything. But we'll be able to go, I'll go back and I'll get the best, you know, try to get some good footage for you. I apologize for that. But it's awfully tough when you're in a dog fight and you're also a camera crew and you know, a fucking YouTube personality. I wouldn't call myself an influencer like Mikey Pipes. Yeah, I'm no influencer. Yeah, I just work every fucking day. Anyways, maybe I'll get tomorrow off. Look at me, I got fucking bruises and shit, man. Johnny got his ass beat, but I didn't quit, man. That's the main thing. There ain't no quitting this fucking Irish boy. Sean Flanagan. He's a fucking Irish guy, too. Don't fuck with us. That's all I'm saying. Alright guys, that's going to do it for this video. I'm sure I'll have something more to say here shortly. But get yourself one of these. Bump hat. Great. It looks good on me. I gotta say, man. I should be a bump hat fucking model. Hey. Hey. They really work, man. Yeah. Wait a minute. I got a booger. I had a booger in my nose too, man. That's how you know it's the real McCoy. If somebody comes on, kind of looks like me, talks like an asshole like me, if they ain't got a booger hanging out of their fucking left nostril, it ain't the real McCoy. Jackson. Have a great day, guys. Enjoy Sunday. Be safe out there, man.